Okay, now we're good, and we are recording. Hello, everyone. This is Jason, lead writer for MMOHuts.com, and today we're going to be playing a little Elsword. I'm here with a couple of the GMs. If you guys like to introduce yourselves.
As GM Moshup.
I'm GM Rush, and yeah.
So GM Rush here is getting a brand new character through the tutorial really quick, so we can jump in.
Excellent. One of many. I'll be playing Ad today. I figured I would, since he's one of the characters in Volume 3 of Reboot, I figured I'd make a fresh Ad, and we would just go stomp our way through a little content.
That's one of the sought after characters too, and it took a big boost with the reboot.
He's one of my favorites as far as like aesthetic goes and like abilities. Ad has to be my favorite.
Right, and you know what's funny is Ad used to be one of the characters that was the proverbial edgelord.
Oh yeah.
Definitely one of our heavy hitters, and then he kind of didn't necessarily step up to the main stage for a while. Even like our 2v2 championships going back to, I believe we're talking like 2015. Undisputed 2v2 champion teams had to have an ad on it. And then he kind of fell off the main stage for a bit. And after this reboot, a lot of ad players are now super excited again to see how this character pans out.
Awesome. But yeah, when I started seeing talk about the reboot, and I'm a big fan of Elsword, but I don't always get a lot of time to play because games journalism, we got to play stuff all the time. I was like, this is the perfect opportunity to get back in, and like there's a lot of characters I either haven't played or I played but I forgot. So now everyone's got a fresh coat of paint. They do a lot of really cool stuff now. What sort of inspired this huge sweeping set of changes?
So, as some may know, especially some of our diehard fans that have been following KOG for, going on about 12 years now. Elsword has been in publication for North America for 8 years. We just had our 8th anniversary recently. And anytime you publish a game for 8 years, with the amount of content that we have, obviously we have 13 characters in the game. Each character has at least 3 job paths. Each one of those job paths represent an almost completely different class per se. Now, when you have that much content, that much core game content, and you are progressing and adding new characters and adding new jobs and adding new blades of information like transcendence and third jobs and stuff like that, the game starts to become so expansive that even the best of developers starts to lose focus on kind of what started it all. What the reboot did was allow our team to go back to the drawing board. So every single character was we'll take it back. The philosophy was so every single character had stat normalization applied. And so base stats, base HP, base everything normalized across the board. So instead of characters and jobs being so specialized, they are now completely normalized. The way they differentiate is magical and physical. So the characters and the character classes that are more physical then became more attuned or attributed to be physical. So some of the characters would have magical attacks and attacks. They were then hyper focused on whatever aspect that they were designed to feature, which is either physical or magical. Then they took that focus even further. So they made all of the different active skills, tenacity skills, strength skills, and so on to focus fire then on those particular skills, magical or physical. Then they went so far as to recalibrate priority when attacking. So when you're fighting game, that when both characters jump in the air and both of them swing at the same time, you're going to have one character over the other that is established as who's going to take priority in the exchange.
Exactly.
Even that was manipulated. So you have characters that were now hyper focused to then play their particular role as designed by the dev team. So if you have a character that's supposed to be a DPS glass cannon, They are now focus fire to be the DPS glass cannon, but then start on the same plane or the same level as every other character in the game. So now you're able to see that feature focus on what that character is supposed to represent by design. Now that covers every character in the game, every single one of those character job classes.
But you obviously couldn't do them all at once, because that would be insane.
It would be insane, and it was insane. We had to learn the hard way. You know, some players are like, why is Korea ahead? When we launched the character Ein, we launched the character Ein on a global front. So we were, Korea updated Ein, North America updated Ein, with us both being KOG. Everybody updated simultaneously. To quote everybody involved, especially like, you know, even our project manager in Korea, it was a circus. So,
it was a clown fiesta.
Yeah. So we agreed at that point to let to use our home office as basically that testing bed to make sure we get all the bugs out, to make sure we get the balance right. And balancing is in any game, especially an MMORPG with this much content, something that needs to happen in advance. And so when we get the content, even though we've had to make changes in the past, the content itself is better balanced. And so by the time we get the update, we get the fixed version, or as close to the perfected fixed version as possible.
Gotcha.
And you're right, we have to do volume 1, volume 2, and then volume 3. The first 2 volumes had 3 characters each, and this volume had 4 characters, which were Aisha, Raven, Ad, and Labby.
Though I imagine Labby probably didn't get a lot of changes, being the newest character and already being pretty good.
You know, it was so we had to kind of retro a bit back. Labby has one of the most controversial skills in the game, which was called Andromeda. Mm-hmm. Andromeda allowed Labby, even when taking damage or delivering damage, anytime anything had even touched her in the middle of a hyperactive skill, to cast Andromeda and evade whatever damage was being done at that point in time. So it pushes her out of harm's way, and that was by design. Mm-hmm. Part of the reboot, every single character then got that evade skill. Not the same one. So each character has an evade skill that functions in the same design. So exactly, one that fits them, but a skill that they can cast with a 180-second cooldown. So they just can't cast it willy-nilly whenever.
Right.
And it will allow them to get the heck out of dodge. That was really hard. Sorry. I had more energy than I needed.
So it's not as great as Labby's, but it's still really good and really useful.
Oh no, totally. It's on the same.
Is it the same cooldown?
Same cooldown, same.
Yep. But she got it first.
She had it first. Yeah, you heard it here first. And so, but yeah, you're right. The reason Labby didn't get the additional skills and the additional changes is she was already on that level.
Now, how long ago did Korea start doing this?
They started, 3 weeks? 3 to 4 weeks ahead of us.
Oh, so it's not like months.
Oh, no. So we were already aware of what was going to happen and what was coming down the pipe, but obviously the scope was daunting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I bet.
So we're almost 4 weeks behind?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. I mean, there's going to be some play, but so everything was rolling out, and we're actually very, very short behind. And so we have heard the screams and laments of things that needed to get nerfed, the screams and laments of things that needed to get buffed. And so by the time we get to see it, we get the fixed version.
Oh, fantastic. So you didn't have to go through quite as many growing pains.
Quite as many, keyword, but yes.
Still some, but not as bad.
You know, the fun thing is the North American players have a very different palette than the Korean. Oh, there's some overlap, but Rose is a far more popular character here in North America. Chung is Chung is not one of the most popular characters here, but definitely a more popular character here. So we even consider the North American off meta.
Oh, okay.
And even when we kind of see how the game is being played overseas, everywhere from Taiwan to Brazil. I'm not going to speak too much about how their demos kind of played out and what their favorites were, but on our end, to actually see that true to form difference in character preference, difference in job class preference or job path, it tickles me, because in some circumstances it's huge how different the preferences. Because you think everybody like games like League and stuff like that, everybody's got that core meta.
Mm-hmm.
It is different enough, but functional enough, because our core meta or our off meta is just as effective as some of the other like we'll say competitive PvP aspects in the other regions of the world in Elsword.
That's pretty interesting.
To me, that's exciting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Did you want to talk about any characters in particular, like some characters who got the biggest changes?
Oh yeah, actually, I'll hand it over to Rush. Yeah, he's definitely in it to win it. The second live update.
that is kind of. Aisha probably had the most impactful reboot. I want to say I think everybody was looking forward to Aisha's reboot the most.
Or losing sleep over it.
Yes.
Terrified that it was going to make her worse somehow.
But yeah, overall, Aisha had a lot of big changes because a lot of players kind of started drifting away from Aisha until the reboot happened. Because Aisha has been quite a I want to say interesting character to play around, because she's so unique.
Yeah.
In that sense, because she's one of the slower characters but has teleport as a mobility.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah.
It makes it difficult in PvP to play against just because of that teleport.
Oh man. Oh yeah, I can imagine, especially for PvP.
So you got the slow character with the floaty motions, and then her only evade or ability to step out is that really kind of just phased teleporting skill. But even on the PvE front, Aisha can be a support role. She can be a heavy mage casting, number spinning DPS character, but it's very, what do you call it? Polarized.
Yeah,
and,
there you go.
So to play one versus the other, yeah, that was probably one of the most sought after. Everybody was either biting their fingernails and just hoping that, please don't break my character. Then you have everyone else going, please
make her not that strong.
Just make her not busted in PvP.
Or even in PvE, we've had this huge surge in players seeing a preferred functionality in team comp, in co-op team comp, in raid, in in-game dungeons. And so now you see a lot of the, it'd be funny because we jump in the game, you see players looking for X character, looking for this job of X character. And so they're looking to fill that role. And you're starting to see the archetypal patterning in platforming aspects of some of the in-game stuff. Support roles, like the character Rush is playing right now, Ein is a, I want to say diabolical because the character is so light and fluffy and airy and positive. Diabolical in the fact that he's one of the strongest support characters in the game, but also one of the more unpopular characters and difficult to play. But Ein got the reboot on the last wave, but also one of the only true to form support characters in the game. They've tried to add some different support mechanisms with some of the other characters. Even Elsword got a support concept, but nothing like Ein's. And so you'll have players that the top tier players will know how to use Ein in a group. Other ones are just like, I want to spin numbers. We're gonna outwit the intelligence of this game by just how do you do this? Apparently we didn't hit it hard enough. Let's go find a better team comp that can spin even bigger numbers.
We need more numbers.
What we need is more cowbell.
There you go. That's what we really needed.
Yeah, that's what I love about Ein. Ein is one of those characters with so many little buffs here and there that you have to manage all at the same time. And if you can, he's one of the most rewarding characters to play.
Absolutely. But the changes are you'll see that the PvP team comp being a big thing right now. Raid content and in-game content being our players used to be spin numbers. Now you're seeing the culture of the game change to where that's. I love seeing the intelligence grow. I love seeing the culture grow and evolve. And Elsword is now at a point where that's a big deal.
Fantastic. Are there any specific characters you want to talk about? Like specific changes that made, say, I don't know if you guys had the numbers on it yet, that made characters more popular or made them more viable?
I am going to say Aisha, like I mentioned before, is one of the most hyped characters because of the reboot.
I also want to bring up Elsword. Everybody thought that when Elsword got the reboot, because he was one of the first characters to get rebooted, that he was going to go in broken. Because the Knight Emperor is already a massive tank / damage dealer, especially in his late game when he's able to pop the Armageddon Blade. He's covering the entire screen. He got new skills that were also sweeping skills that can handle multiple mobs simultaneously or do direct damage to some of the boss characters, which was greatly needed because instead of him just being the shield of the group, he needed some of the ability to contribute too.
Oh yeah.
So they thought he was going to be broken. But what they found out is this is where I giggled and I tapped my ears maniacally because with the normalization of stats, with the renegotiation of the prioritization on the hits, the players took a little bit longer to get adjusted to it, and they did not win, big air quotes, as big as they thought they were going to, and they had to go back to rebuild their skill list and their casting.
Yeah.
Also, Elsword got a change up. So he used to have, we call it red or blue in regards to, it's one of the only off resource management that he has. So as he either does or takes damage, he fills up his, I get him analysis. So you're going to have to shoot I'm tired. His Way of the Sword and Annihilation. No, it's not Annihilation. It's Vitality. Annihilation is, again, analysis. So Way of the Sword and Vitality. When you fill up that red or blue bar under your mana bar, Way of the Sword, obviously aspects towards damage, Vitality aspects towards mana, and you had to cast a specific skill to fill one bar or the other. Now, you use one of the same mechanics that are given to some of the other characters by hitting the V key, and it automatically aspects towards either Way of the Sword or Vitality, regardless of whatever you're casting. And so that was another resource that the Elsword players had to adjust to that was completely unheard of for the last 7 years, 8 years technically.
Oh, wow.
And so they thought, they were like, we're going to jump in on this face. We're going to do fantastic. Oh, God. They hit a brick wall. Now that they've adjusted, they love it. I haven't heard any of the Elsword players, the Elsword mains, complain. They some things that were like, it took a bit to get used. But even myself, as an Elsword main, I love the changes. Some of the different classes, Immortal and stuff like that, were shorthanded for a long time, but you still have those dedicated, like this is the class I'm going to play no matter what. They became instantly viable overnight. Not overpowered, but viable.
But good.
Good. Like playable, like I get to contribute. You actually see them in raids and stuff like that now. And Rush can definitely tell you like what the team comp is for some of the different areas.
Oh yeah, no, I'd love to hear about that.
So in raid now, previously it used to be a lot on the whole DPS. If you can do DPS, we can clear faster, which means we can do more runs, which means we can get more rewards, EXP,
Grinding out
prizes. But now Elsword has progressed to a point where you definitely need some of those more support classes to not only help you clear it more comfortably, I want to say, but also manage your resource better. So
That's good because I like playing support players or support characters.
So Elsword, one of the for example, one of the skills is Iron Body. With the reboot, when Elsword casts Iron Body, whether it's in PvE or PvP, your team takes the damage, the defense boost benefit every time you cast that skill. So it's a buff that hits your entire team.
Oh, nice.
So because Elsword, we call him Elboy, because Elboy is going to cast that skill regardless, you now don't have to change your play style in order to. I mean, I can see somebody screaming Iron Body certain key points of the different dungeons that are out there, but because Elboy is going to be casting Iron Body anyway, everyone else is just going to take the benefit when you have this charger looking to tank and going into battle, and so every time he casts Iron Body, that buff then hits the entire team.
Yeah.
But what do you say another character that you didn't see in game before that is now there? Fatal Phantom? No, his reboot hasn't hit yet. That's the next reboot.
Mm-hmm. But I want to say Hersher as well, because previously his damage was pretty hybrid, so his damage wasn't as high as it could be. But not only now did they change all his damage to magical, which means he's gonna do more damage and contribute more, but he also gained some support capabilities in his passive, which boosts his teammates' damage.
Oh, that's a beautiful thing.
Being the god of...
Oh yeah, that makes you automatically viable if you boost damage. You boost
Just
numbers.
So
You're
boosting
automatically on the team.
So yeah, Hershey is definitely a lot more pick now as well.
I'm glad to see a lot more characters are viable now. It's not just if you don't run, whoever does the top DPS, don't show up.
Yeah.
Now you're going to see some of the folks have a heart that struggle with the evolution. Change is not good. I mean, you always have the art players, change that.
Oh yeah.
But those have adjusted well, and they see the benefit.
That's good news. I like to see growth and change, and not just grab whoever's busted. Grab whoever's OP and just pick them.
Also, I just thought about it, but the reverse is also kind of a bit true, because Mad Paradox used to be known, like one of the ads was known for his support capabilities, but his DPS was never there.
Mm-hmm.
But this reboot Wave 3 gave Mad Paradox a lot of damage buffs.
Now, did they take away some of his support?
No, they didn't.
Oh,
that's the beauty. They left the support there. Because Mad Paradox support ability is Seal of Time, one of the best support abilities in the game.
Oh, right.
It can revive your teammate, and it can reset all your cooldowns in one skill.
Damn.
But the problem with Mad Paradox was, to compensate, his DPS was high. It was one of the lower end. So what this reboot did was it brought up his DPS, so now he's on par with some of the other classes like Blue Hand, which means Mad Paradox is now, look at me, I'm ready.
Look at me, I'm awesome.
Hey guys, remember me?
And a lot of players are like, oh.
I'm
so
back,
now we
dorks.
Yeah, so now we have life and cooldown resets on the DPS character. Oh.
Awesome.
Yeah. I like cooldown reset.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, some characters got more support capabilities, some characters got more DPS. So reboot.
I'm always down with more CDR or cooldown resetting. Oh yeah. I can hit more buttons. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Are there any other characters you sort of want to focus on that really improved in this in these updates? Or can you spoil something for the next volume?
Well, I'm curious how Raven pans out. Raven is one of the most consistently popular characters in the game. He's the tough guy. He's the gruff guy. He's the original Edge. Also, one of the more linear characters that rewards. That's easy enough to play because he's got that straightforward. He's got a robotic arm. He's got a sword. Come on, we all watch anime.
Hell yeah! We know what's going down.
But on the flip side, he is linear. He is progressive, but he rewards your skill. Mm-hmm. So the more skilled you are, the more corrupt and obnoxious Raven can be. So I'm curious as to see how well he's going to do with him being one of the more popular characters. So he just went live today with the reboot, and he has some awesome stuff. I mean, if you watch our video, our reboot video for Raven, he kicks up this flare that then bursts into multiple flares, like you see in like the military movies, where like it's the really slow fall burning effect.
Oh
And
yeah.
I can see that in so many different instances, giving Raven that sustained damage because he's always direct and explosive. So now he's got a couple of skills that are sustained that will help him immensely in PvE, which is good because Raven is definitely not. He's very direct damage, and he doesn't have. Not all of his job paths have the ability to frame out of certain in-game stuff, and so he's the guy that was. I used up all of my framing. I'm going to get one shot at if this boss cracks off right, and if your timing isn't perfect, you got punished for it. So some of the changes that they've done for Raven are going to allow him to have a little bit more framing, a little bit more sustained damage. So even if you're going to go out in a blaze of glory, you now have this damage that he can crank out that's going to be able to help him out. Nova Imperator, we call it the zombie Raven, because there's multiple ways to proc the ability to come back up after a death. But not the other two job paths don't have that. So I'm really interested to see how Raven's going to do. But from what I've seen already, the Raven fanboys and fangirls are already really digging the changes that were made. So we haven't seen too many characters where the dedicated players are upset about it.
No.
Labby, I like. We were talking about her before. I mean, her being one of the more powerful characters. Now, I don't want to say I attribute it completely to power creep because she really is innovative in her presentation. She's a brawler fighter, pink demon, shark tooth, little cutie. I love her to death. See, I'm sorry, I was making Rush cringe. At the end of the day, she was innovative. So a lot of people had a hard time adjusting to the differences that she brought to the field. And then now that everybody's viable, some of the aspects. So even though she didn't get the skill changes, she did get a lot of passive stuff changes. And I'll let Rush kind of go into more detail about that.
Lobbies. Well, actually, in terms of lobby change, they're mostly all specifically designed to help her character function a lot better. Like, I want to bring up Radiant Soul the most because she, I think, was the one that players were most hyped about for the changes because she used to be based around a skill called I'm Helping, which is a buff that helps the rest of her skills. So if she casts I'm Helping, the rest of her skills are gain additional effects because it's like, yeah, now I'm ready to help my teammates. Unfortunately, the problem was this keeps a slight animation, which means if you get hit while you're using I'm Helping, you will be punished for it.
Oh yeah, I remember that happening to me.
So the reboot removing the I'm meant that Radiant Soul players can now do I'm Helping a lot safer, which means your support won't get as punished for trying to help.
Operation Heat Shield Part 2.
Operation trying to create puns if I'm helping is a skill name.
I know. When a skill name becomes meme.
I'm helping! Not so
Maybe not so much.
So, yeah, the Radiant Soul is definitely the most hyped about skill. Eternity Winner, as fitting to her name, got a passive that assisted with resetting her cooldowns.
Yeah, Eternity Winner is like the bane of my existence. One of the banes.
So, whenever you reset your cooldowns, that means more DPS.
Yeah. Now, when I say bane of my existence, I mean that in a good way.
Though speaking of the bane of people's existence, what about PvP? Do you think any of these characters are really going to improve in PvP?
Oh, we've already seen it. Every single day. Actually, I can't just say that because I'm going to sound a little biased towards certain characters or my favorites, even if I throw out some of our big names in PvP, Lazy, SSL, some of our other guys that are out there, Otanashi, some of the guys that are on our top tier, VAF, that play specific characters that have been more on the top tier and have consistently been top tier PvP players. That entire lineup since reboot has changed.
Has been shaken.
They shook, bro. They shook.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's not necessarily because they're still up there.
Mhm.
They're still our top 10 players, or our top 15, or our top 20. But the names that are up there now are names that we haven't seen in a long time that have come back.
Yeah.
And then there's new names that have become viable. Who were we just playing with last week? Where it was like, oh my god, like we didn't, you know.
We haven't seen him for a while.
No. It was the other side. It was, when did you get good?
Oh.
You know, everyone talks about you get good. This dude got good, and it wasn't just the character. I mean, the skill was there. I'm trying to remember who it was. It was last week.
Well, one thing I want to say is the reboot has definitely made a lot of players reevaluate your playstyles and
Yes.
try and relearn their playstyles. I know the reboot actually playstyle, so it sense, but yeah, you can definitely see a lot of pros experimenting with skills, new commands, new ways to play their character.
Some were punished for it.
Mhm.
Others were rewarded. And to actually, it's one thing to think about it and get all theory crafty about it, but when you actually see that affect your blah, blah, blah.
My
I'm serious. I did that today. When you actually see it affect your PvP page, your top 10, your top 100, your top 50, and you see the names flip, and you're still going to see your best of the best. I mean, you can't take away skill. But that's also a good thing too, because you didn't see all the pros get pushed off.
Yeah.
What you're doing is you're seeing more names that you're familiar with, names you used to be familiar with, and names that you should be familiar with. And so the players that are good are being rewarded for being good, and that makes me happy.
Oops, sorry.
I still remember the first Elsword content I did. Our old boss was like, "Hey, you want to do some PvP with the best PvPers in Elsword?" I'm like, "What? I've never PvP'd in this game. Why would you ask me to do this?" I have never looked worse at a game before. It was fun, but man, I was rubbish.
I mean, but how cool is that? I mean, that wasn't cool. I mean,
It was still a really cool experience, though.
when
To
you
see that level of skill.
Yeah, when you see them take a game that you think you understand the basic functionality of, and they just bend it, like they're the last Avatar. I mean, you're going like, how do you do that?
Yeah, like that is probably the best example in this scenario.
Yeah, that scenario. Oh man, I want to say Rough House on the Raven before making the transition to Labby.
Even on Lobby.
Yeah.
The way he makes some of those plays on his Lobby makes you really go, "You can do that?" Oh, Nico.
Oh, Nico. So yeah, there's a couple players that you think you understand the game, and then you watch these people play the game for all of 5 seconds, and you're like, "What the heck? How are they doing that?" And like I said, that any type of a game that can reward skill, because you got the basics. Basics are basics. You can get by, no problem. But to have a game that when you bring those fast hands on that tactile feedback on that keyboard.
For Banthus Cave?
Yes.
I need to get some cave melons for my class quest.
All right, sounds good.
Cave
So
melons.
Cave.
That's the
That
best.
sounds like something you have to pay like $9.99 a month for.
Yes.
That's not PG.
We're making Rush cringe, and you're making my day, sir.
Glad to help.
See, friends.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, anytime we have a game that can celebrate that kind of skill, it just at the end of the day, that's literally one of my happy moments.
But there was also, in addition to the class updates, the character updates, there's also a new dungeon that dropped, right?
Yes.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay, so Elsword, for those that may or may not be familiar, the expansion of the storyline has been contentious because everyone thought at one point in time that the story was going to end, that it was drawing to a close, that the end game was near. And then here comes the first viable raid, which was actually core story content on top of that. The thing was flipped on its head. Instead of going after the L, you find out that there's this big mirror world and the demons that are channeling the Dark L enter in Labby as a character. Hater of spoilers, but and it didn't feel like that expansion of the story was tacked on at the last minute. The role has just been super smooth, and the storytelling aspect of how the Elsword party is going through this, and now so that big lead up. Long story short, they're going into the demon world. They're going into a world that is going to punish them. And so one of the game features that kind of counts the efficiency of a character is CP, or combat power. You increase your CP by getting good gear. Now enter in the Rigomore, which is the latest dungeon. The jump in CP required is definitely there. Which means it's not just we're just going to slider bar the damage that much more just difficult. Like you see in like some of the old RPGs, it on hard, then you go to hell, then nightmare. That just they throw more mobs at you and just up the their tankiness and damage. These the new content is platformy. Sorry, I giggle.
Oh,
Fun. Right?
Oh boy.
The bosses are very structured in both their attack and defense. How the mobs pop off, you're seeing a huge increase, and this is something even our communities compliment us on AI, on some of the different mobs and mini bosses and sub bosses, and that is becoming more poignant in the later game. And so now that we have Rigomore going in, we get to epitomize that logic and that concept and applying that late game stuffs. And so that's why the combat power for Rigomore is so expensive. So if you try to bring in your homie kind of slacking and doesn't have the CP, he's going to get one-shotted. And if he doesn't get one-shotted, he's going to platform off to the depths of death, and you're going to yell at him and hit him. And so if they don't have the skill represented by that CP, it's an indication.
Sounds like.
Absolutely. So it's not just slider bar. You need more tanky and more damage. No, that's not what it's about. Because the level itself is going to be more difficult. And if you don't have somebody who has the experience in reading tells and how to fight up effectively and not just try to face roll the numbers off of a boss, because now within the last 2 dungeons, just trying to face roll DPS numbers off of a kill. Yeah, you'll do a ton of damage, not enough. And if you die, the group wipes, then everyone's going to hit you with the keyboard repeatedly.
So they're far more skill-based.
Yes, absolutely. Now, I like the storyline going into it. I don't want to spoil it too much, but we'll just say, just as a mini spoiler, Labby has now joined the core storyline at this.
Oh, excellent.
She's been running a parallel storyline up until now, and the 2 storylines now combined.
Yeah, I remember when I first did my Labby preview, I remember seeing that she was off in her own little world.
The Dark Forest and all of that. Kind of see like her very, very somber, depressing. You see this really bright.
Oh my goodness.
But now it's one of the cutscenes we actually revealed from before, and all of a sudden you see this character with this bright light in the background crashing into the group, and it's Labby.
Fantastic.
Anime style, falling from the sky.
That's the only way to do it.
They're just not dropping her on. That's just a flashy anime entrance. But so now all the stories are going to.
So now everyone is together now.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Even Rose. Rose So yeah, so it one big happy family.
All right, and I think there's one more thing we probably ought to cover, since I'm probably going to try and put this out today or tomorrow. There's a lot of events going on right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
or
yeah.
starting very, very soon.
That is correct.
Well, we've got the growth event,
Mm-hmm.
which this is for everybody, whether you're a veteran player or you're a brand new player to Elsword. The growth event is a special character creation event. So when you log into, let's say you're the new guy and you want to download Elsword, you need to create a character, and right under your character name, you're going to see a little box to the right-hand side that will force you into the growth event. Now, if you don't check it, it's just a character. Please do it. There's no reason not to. When you click that box and you create a character, it actually changes the world map. So each world map is now just designated. So you complete the tutorial, and then you go into Reuben. Now, when you complete the Reuben map, you get gear, and you'll see a significant jump. You're talking like 15 levels of increase after each completion.
Oh, it's crazy. I was doing it on stream
Yeah.
a week or so ago, and I went from 1 to 47 in one stream.
Nice. So once you complete all of them, and now if here at MMOHuts is, and they wouldn't be here if they weren't, or then you'll be able to knock it out literally in a couple. You'll get a max level character in a couple hours. Now, are you truly in game at that? No. Why? That's no fun. Why would we want to do that? But you will get one of the best weapons in the game. So,
and I imagine it puts you, now you could start playing some of the really cool content in the game.
It gives you the leg to stand on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're only allowed to do the growth event once per account. So one character on one account, you get that growth event to end game. You get the Void +9 Void weapon. And but we have login events now on top of that.
That's right.
So just for logging in for 20 minutes, you get rewards.
Yes.
What other events do we have cracking on?
We have a Hedgehog Gratitude event.
Oh, God.
I don't know if you noticed.
I did. I saw that there were several.
We've
been rescuing them.
Yeah. So there's a quest where if you rescue 3, you can get some coins. And if we get enough coins, in other words, we save enough hedgehogs because hedgehogs are precious, we can get a hedgehog costume.
You're killing me, Smalls.
I was watching that movie just this weekend.
We have to save the hedgehog.
but none of them are blue.
Oh, the actual main character hedgehog is actually blue.
Oh, delightful.
I don't know if you noticed, but each of the hedgehog in the cage actually represents a different character based on the color of the plume on your head.
Oh.
So Chunks would be light blue,
Mm-hmm.
and Ads would be purple, Ravens would be gray. So save your favorite hedgehog. I mean,
So what's the point of the hedgehog? So what's the saving hedgehogs we play?
because they got trapped. I mean, mistake.
Oh God.
And hedgehogs will give us great gratitude.
I'm not Superman. I'm not here to save for gratitude.
I'm here for rewards. I'm here for money. Gratitude don't fill my stomach.
Right? I can gratitude one hand and never mind.
And I believe this weekend you guys are also doing, what is it, triple XP?
That's right. We have a weekend burning event this weekend, which means triple EXP on Saturday for the whole day, and unlimited stamina, which means you can run dungeons on end, which means I'll probably be running dungeons on end. Last time this happened, which happened for Wave 2 and Wave 1 of the reboot, I was just computer cans of monsters, I'm ready!
And so that's what I was going to get at. So just to kind of wrap up that event sequence, not only do we have the growth event for that one character, account. This event is for everybody. All the players that are like, you know what, I've got other characters I haven't touched, or my character's coming up for the next reboot, or I just got my favorite character reboot or job. Triple EXP, you do not get better than that in one shot at one time.
And then on Sunday, you have 2 times drop rate and unlimited stamina.
There you go. There's your gear.
So level up, then get your gear.
Yeah, go do it. Log in this weekend and make that happen. All right. Anything else we need to cover before we wrap this up?
Oh, I'm sure I will hate myself later when I don't up that I completely forgot about.
How many things you have going on?
That's the way it always is.
So the next reboot is the last leg of the reboot. And then once the last leg of the reboot is done, we're going to start the 3rd season of the international PvP competition.
Awesome.
So this will be the first time in Elsword history that an international tournament has pitched. And so it's going to be everybody versus everybody. And so just for the qualifying purposes, whoever wins the 3rd leg of our tournament series is going to go to Korea.
Oh,
so
awesome.
The best of the best is going to play against the best and the best on our home territory, in our home office in Korea. So if I know a lot of players and they're going, I've never even stepped foot outside of my own state, let alone to play a video game. So, I mean, this is where, so we got all this exciting stuff going on in game. And then as soon as we're done with this whole reboot / dungeon update, we're going right into the PvP aspect of the game and doing it on a global scale, literally.
That'll be awesome.
And now that everybody's got that fresh reboot where everybody's viable and everyone's been meta / off meta, it's going to get real interesting now.
Yeah, nobody even knows who's going to make it in.
Nobody
It's not going to be the
knows.
same.
Sounds like it's going to be wild.
Yep.
All right, I guess we can wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for coming to talk to me about Elsword and smashing through some dungeons. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks for playing with us, man. I love seeing you in game, and it's always a good time, man.
Oh yeah, I love doing it. But yes, for those of you who have been watching, do go check out the reboot event. It's a lot of fun. We've posted about it on MMOHuts.com. Every character's getting reworked. It's going to be fantastic. Stats are being normalized. Skills are getting added. Butts are getting in seats. Wait, I think that's a wrestling thing. Never mind. Scratch that. It's been really fun so far. I'm looking forward to the next volume. All right, and on that note, I guess we will see you guys next time right here on MMOHuts.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.